Hello students, today I shall discuss a new lesson after 20 years, your lesson number 5, which will come in the upcoming exam. So I have already given you the syllabus. In this exam, you will get the lesson number 1, 4, 5 and 6. I think lesson number 4, that is a small poem written by William Cowper, The Nightingale and the Glowworm, that have already been discussed. You please go to the WhatsApp group, you will find the syllabus and this video. You please try to solve the questions. Alright. Now I shall discuss the lesson number 5 after 20 years. Okay. So before going to discuss here, some point is given. What happens when two friends meet? You just imagine in between you. Suppose after matriculation, you will have to leave the St. Thomas school. You will have to go different paths. Suppose some of you will go to arts stream, some of you will go for any other studies, and some of you will go to any other paths, any other ways. Then sometime you may have some promises like that, after 20 years, after 10 years we will meet again, and by remembering those past we may become nostalgic. Okay, so in this lesson is written by O. Henry. This is a short story written by O. Henry about two friends, okay, about two best friends, namely Jimmy Well and Bob, who decided to meet again after 20 years at the place where they had, okay, where that means where they had done their, where they had left, where they left each other. In another words, we can say where they had their last dinner. They had dined at their last dinner at Briggs Brady's restaurant. That means the name of the owner of the restaurant, the owner of the name of the owner's name of the restaurant is Briggs Brady's. So that is why it is given Briggs Brady's restaurant. You will get the term. So in this lesson, I have already told you that it is a short story written by O. Henry about two best friends, namely Jimmy Well and Bob. So you just imagine this situation in between you. After what is going to be happen after 20 years, after leaving this school, you will have to go any other paths, any other ways, and what will happen when you become when you meet your old friends. Understood? So this is the lesson. This lesson deals about those friends. Okay, when two friends, what happens when two friends meet? যেতিয়া মানে দুজন বন্ধু লগ পায়, দুজন পুৰণা বন্ধু লগ পায়, তেতিয়া কি হয়, কি ঘটে? Okay, the first point is given: recall and tell the class about the time when you meet someone after a long time. What was your reaction? So when you meet your old friends, now you cannot imagine when you leave this school after 10 years. Suppose after 10 years or 15 years you have got your friends, and how the reaction may become. Okay, how is your reaction, what may be the reaction occurs? So you will become nostalgic by remembering the past situation. Suppose we had studied in this way, we had done this kind of activities in St. Thomas school. So by remembering those past activities, you may become nostalgic. So a nostalgic situation, at the same time the seriousness also you will get in this lesson about Jimmy Well and Bob. So please go to the first paragraph of the lesson. The first paragraph: the policeman on the beat moved up the avenue impressively. The impressiveness was habitual and not for show, for spectators were few. The time was barely 10 o'clock at night, but silly gust of wind with a taste of rain in them had depeopled the streets. So I will not discuss all the lines, all word by word and line by line. So I'll just tell you, I'll just try to tell you the summary as a whole. So from the first paragraph, I think you have understood that a policeman was roaming. So a policeman was roaming, that means he was in duty in his work, and the lesson has started at a night scenery. Okay, so the time was around 10 o'clock, and the policeman was walking in the street where the wind was blowing along with the rain. Okay, which completely depeopled the streets. The depeople means manu naikia kara. Okay, some when the rain occurs, when suddenly the rain occurs, the people used to go their houses. All right, so the lesson has started with a night scenery. It was around 10 o'clock when a policeman was walking in the street. Understood? So as I told you that this lesson talks about the policeman Jimmy Wells and Silky Bob. All right. This lesson talks about a policeman. At first, they were very close as brothers. That means Bob and Jimmy, both of them were very close like brothers. However, once Bob had to leave him for his portion in the west, I told you that some of you will go to somewhere, some of you will go to different paths. So, like you, Bob also had to leave the places where they keep their childhood, where they where they had to stay in their past. Suppose Bob and Jimmy, both of them were very closer, and they had passed the time but Bob had to leave him for his fortune in the west. The two eventually lost touch. That means when Bob had to leave him for his when Bob had to leave him when Bob had to leave Jimmy for his fortune in the west, both of them had to lose their connection for long time. We may suppose after completing your graduation, after completing your higher secondary, you may lose connection from your friends. All right, nowadays you people are very close, but after few days your connection may be little bit obstacles. There the obstacles may come where you may suppose you may not get the time also. You may become very busy. Some of their life will be very busy, so you won't get the time to call any person, call any of your friends. So both of them had lost their eventually both of them had lost their connection, but they had promised to meet each other in 20 years to the hour after their last dinner together at the same spot in New York City. So when the two friends lost their connection, when each other wanted to differentiate from each other, then at the last time they had a dine at a restaurant. I have already told you the restaurant name is Brigzo Brady's restaurant. You will get the page now. In the second page you will get 20 years ago. Just see, 20 years ago tonight, said the man, I dine here at Brigzo Brady's with Jimmy Wells. Brigzo Brady's means the owner of the restaurant's name is Brigzo Brady. That is why it is called Brigzo Brady's restaurant. All right. So 20 years later, Bo was waiting outside where the restaurant once they stood when he and Jimmy parted ways. The latter, who is now a policeman, comes upon him while he was walking his beat. All right. So after hearing Bob's story about the friends pleased to meet up again and watching him light up cigar, Jimmy recognizes that it's Bob. Understood? So Jimmy recognizes Bob, that he's a policeman. Understood? It's Bob. He also realizes his old friend is a fugitive from Chicago. So Jimmy, what did Jimmy realizes? Jimmy realizes that his old friend means his old friend is a fugitive from Chicago, means criminal. Okay, he was a criminal. Bob was a criminal. All right, whom he had seen earlier as a police bulletin, on a police bulletin. All right. Suppose after completing your higher education, after completing your graduation, you may become a policeman. You will become a policeman, and your friend is a criminal. What you are going to do in that situation? In that situation, you will feel at least very bad to arrest him. Suppose you have to arrest him, you have to arrest your friends. For few seconds, you may become unhappy because the friendship relation, it is different. The word friendship is different. You cannot arrest your friends. Okay, formally you can arrest, but in your mind, your heart will not say to arrest him. So he also realizes that his old friend is a fugitive from Chicago. In Chicago, he was a criminal whom he had seen earlier on a police bulletin. Understood? At that time, Bob was not aware that the policeman is Jimmy, who goes about on his patrol, leaving the outlaw to wait for his friend. Alright? So after a moment, another man appears. At first, Bob thinks he is Jimmy. Bob realized that he was Jimmy, but it was not actually Jimmy. Jimmy sent another man. Alright? Jimmy was a policeman. So after a moment, another man appears. At first, Bob thinks he is Jimmy. Although Bob cannot see the man too well in the dark, he begins to notice that some things are off about him. Alright? Eventually, the man, reveals that he is a plainclothes officer. He was not wearing, the man who came closer to him, he was not wearing police dresses. He was a plainclothes officer taking Bob under arrest. That means Bob was arrested by that man. Bob was not arrested by Jimmy. He was arrested by another man. Before he does so, he hands Bob a note from the patrolman. The patrolman was Jimmy. Understood? That means Jimmy sent the man to arrest him. Alright? Who turns out to be a, have you understood this line? Before he does so, means before doing so, before arresting Bob, he hands Bob a note. He handed a note from the policeman. So what is the note? Who turns out to be him, former best friend and brigadier Jimmy. So you see the last line, last pages of the lesson. It sometimes changes a good man into a bad one, said the tall man. You have been under arrest for 10 minutes. Silky Bob, Chicago thinks you may have dropped over our way and wires us she wants to have a chat with you. Going quietly. Are you? That's sensible. Now before we go on to the station, here's a note. I was asked to hand you. You may read it here at the window. It's from Patrolman Wells. That means Jimmy Wells sent another man to arrest Bob. Now the man is talking with Bob. All right. The man from the west unfolded the little piece of paper, handed him. His hand was steady when he began to read, but it trembled a little by the time he had finished. The note was rather short. Now, what is the note given? In that note, what was written? Bob, I was at the appointed place on time. When you struck the match to light your cigar means cigarette, okay? I saw it was the face of the man wanted in Chicago. That means Bob was waiting for his friend Jimmy Wells. Understood? But Jimmy Wells did not introduce himself as Jimmy. Understood? Somehow I could not do it myself. So I went around and got a plain-clothed man to do the job. Alright? Jimmy. So it was written, this note was written in that notes. The notes which was offered by the man and it was sent by Jimmy. Okay, Bob, I was at the appointed place on time. That means Bob was waiting for Jimmy. Jimmy approached Bob. Jimmy had seen Bob, but he did not introduce himself as Jimmy. Understood? When you struck the match to light your cigar, when Bob was lighting a cigarette means cigarette khayaisil mane, I saw it was the face of the man wanted in Chicago. So I have already told you that Bob was a criminal. Bob was a criminal in Chicago. Jimmy had to arrest him, but he could not arrest. Understood? Somehow I could not do it myself. So I went around and got a plainclothes man to do the job. So Jimmy কৈছে কি মই কৰিব বিচাৰিছিলোঁ, I could not do it myself. মই এটা নিজে কৰিব নোৱাৰিলোঁ. That is why I have sent another man to arrest you. Understood? A plainclothes man to do the job. Understood? I hope you have understood the lesson. If you get any obstacles, any difficulties, then please ask me. I will send you a link where you will get the answers. All right, thank you.